Okay, start. So yesterday you heard in the presentation talking about Arctic, because Arctic is normally more known, and Arctic has 4 million people, you know about that. But Barents, a little bit less known actually, have more people, but still in Arctic. We count about 5 million people, 5.2 million people. So I used to start to show this map about the Barents Cooperation. There are 4 core countries. It's Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Russia. And we have 14 regions. Easy to remember. 2 in Sweden, 3 in Norway, 4 in Finland, and 5 in Russia. 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 in Finland. Now we are teaching Helena from Finland to count. Yeah. Before it was, I know why she said that, because we have a newcomer, Northern Karelia, and before it was 3. Now it's 2, 3, 4, 5. So, and this is the area, and this is the map. And then we have Denmark is also involved with our cooperation, Iceland as well, and European Union. They come to our meetings. So, it's almost 25 years old. We had a declaration in 1993, and the reaffirmation of this 2013, a big meeting in Kirkenes. This is my favorite slide. I used to show this favorite slide. And now you have to focus. And now you should try to remember as much as possible about all this. Try to read it very quickly. And in the end of the presentation, we will have a test. And if you don't understand it, then we will not let you out. Okay? Or we do it in pictures. Instead of having this charter, I will try to go through it in pictures. So the highest decision body of the Barents Cooperation is the ministerial meeting. This is a picture from Oulu when the Russian took over the chairmanship, 2 years chairmanship. And why I'm showing this picture for 2 reasons. To show the level, of course, you see the faces. You know the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Birger Brendan, and you see the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Russia, Sergei Lavrov, in this picture. And you see a smile. And that smile is something about the Barents Cooperation. It's a very friendly atmosphere in the Barents Cooperation. Goes from the highest top level, it goes down in the other organization, it goes down in the working groups. People are friendly, and we are dealing this in a good atmosphere. So, of course, these ministers don't meet that often, so they have somebody to do their work on the national level. So here you see the picture of the Council of Senior Officers. So they meet at least 4 or 5 years. It's people from the Minister of Foreign Affairs, from the 4 core countries, from Denmark, from Iceland, and from European Union, meeting and taking decisions upon the work in the national level of the Barents Cooperation. And for those who remember the slides, it was divided into 2 parts. Then you come into the regional part, the 14 regions. So the highest decision bodies on the regional part is the governors, landshövding in Sweden, fylkesmän in Norway, and this part. So they meet, or their deputies, once or twice per year. And of course, it goes for high political bodies. They also need their committee. It's called the regional committee. So it is officers from their office. They meet 3 or 4 times per year. They have video conferences and also discussing about the work of the regional working groups and the joint working groups. And this is a picture from, I think, from Kaino in Finland. Am I right? Yeah. So, but as you understand, these committees and council, they do not do the work. The work is done in the working groups. So in this picture, it's a collage of only 5 of the 14 working groups. The economical working groups, one's a very big working group on environment, a national one. I think that's the transport working group. And there on up to the right, you have the working group of tourism. And here you have the working group of indigenous people. And I stay there for a little moment. The indigenous people in the Barents Cooperation have a special role. They have a place in every forum that we have. So the indigenous people are always invited to the regional committee, to the regional council meetings, and to the CSO meeting, they have a place and role in every places. They're also allowed to have a participant in every working group. Unfortunately, I might say, and we heard that yesterday, there's not always they have the manpower to fulfill this. It's not always about money, it's about people. When there are not so many, they cannot actually send to all the meetings that we have, unfortunately. Now, and then we come into the joint working group on culture. And since this is a culture meeting, I will ask Helena Aaltonen, Kaina in Finland, to make a short presentation about one of the major projects from the culture group the latest year. So Helena, please, the floor is yours. You do like this? You press that down when you enter the yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
I understood that after a while, but it's okay. This is for the recording.
This is for documentation.
I come back. If you can lift up your hair.
Okay,
Is it okay?
so yes, in the pocket.
In the pocket, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. So good morning, everyone. I'm Helena Aaltonen from the Regional Council of Kainuu. I'm a specialist in regional development, and I have had the chance to chair the joint working group on culture during last year and this year. The changes are every second year, and the next chair will be in Finnmark in Norway on the regional side, and then in Sweden on the side of the states. So in that working group on culture, there have been prepared scholarship for cultural cooperation. The preparation has been long and profound, but we have made the work final last year, and the guidelines for Barents Cultural Scholarship were accepted and launched last November, and then the launching was made by Ministers of Culture meeting in Moscow. So the working group has made these preparations together with the Barents Euro-Arctic Council, and so the regions and the states are behind the scholarship. The scholarship is aimed to professional artists or cultural associations in the Barents regions. Both are possible. Both recipients are possible. And we had a meeting last Tuesday here in Harstad, and we made the first selection of the recipients. But we don't tell you who they are, because it is secret until the festival or the meeting of the foreign ministers who will have their meeting in October in Arkhangelsk, and there the scholarships will be awarded to the recipients. And according to the guidelines, these scholarships will be awarded every second year, once in every chairmanship of Barents. So what are the goals of the scholarships then? The joint working group on culture, it has its own goals, and the working group shall help. The working group on culture aims at promoting dialogue and cooperation in Barents region, as the other working groups also, but of course on cultural affairs. Furthermore, the joint working group on culture shall help establish practical cultural cooperation by creating meeting places and encouraging multicultural dialogue, exchange and cooperation. And that's why this scholarship has been established to support these goals. So, and we have decided in the guidelines that we want to promote artistic excellence, and it's also a requirement for the recipient that the artistic excellence can be found. And we also want that the recipient has had cross-border cooperation before and has plans for future also. And we want that there will be common arenas for artistic and cultural development in the Barents region through this scholarship awarding. So it is not very big one, that scholarship. It is 10,000 euros per each recipient. So there are four scholarships, one for each country's candidate or person or organization. And so the money comes from the countries in different ways, but don't matter of it. It comes in every case. So this is a short information you about that scholarship. If you have something to ask, then we can give answers. There are also several members of the working group here. David from Sweden, Eva or Kristina from Sweden also, Pia also from Sweden, and I say Sergei from Russia, and I saw also Sverre from Norway. Yeah.
You're all here almost. Yeah.
Pardon?
You're all here.
Not all,
not
all,
all,
because we are 14 members from the regions and 4 members from the states. Thank you.
Can I steal that
Yes,
from you again?
of course, of course. Sorry.
I promised the organizer to be very organized and do one of the things that we are responsible from this little body, like the International Barents Secretariat. As you understand, this is not a big organization, and we are responsible for archiving, like you are today, and for be the institutional memory for the organization, outreach work, website, social networks, and so on, and to coordinate the work between all these working groups and the 2 bodies that you see in the beginning, reporting to them and try to report back to you when you have a meeting about what they say about everything, and try to get this working group to work together. We have made some trials about that, to get the tourist group to meet you, for example, to get the transport group to meet the other working groups, and so forth, because I think this is one of the key issues for the future Barents Cooperation, is that there be better coordination between the working group, because we have a lot of big questions incoming. So the office, for those who don't know it, is in Kirkenes, and I call Kirkenes and Brussels. And Kirkenes is a very special place. We talked about that yesterday during the dinner. It's only 5,000 people. 5,000 people in the city, 10,000 in the community, and there are 4 or 5 direct flights down to the capital. Can you mention any other city where you come from to have the same? So Kirkenes is very special. And why I said Brussels? It's because they are famous for two things, the location and the institutions. So when it comes to the Barents Cooperation, the Barents house is not as big as that house, but we still have a Barents house in Kirkenes. We sit in the same building as the annex of University of Tromsø, as Aquaplan Niva, you know, the ones who organize the Arctic Frontiers every year. They have their representative. The Center of High North Logistics, the Barents Institute, and foremost, the closest neighbor and the biggest employer is the Norwegian Barents Secretariat. I used to talk about when it branding Barents because when we talk about the big Arctic, sometimes the picture just flow away because Arctic are so big. And it's sometimes difficult to grasp actually what is practically achieved and what do you practically do when it comes to work. And that is much easier to do when it comes to Barents Cooperation. For me it's so easy because I only ask Margarete, come up and tell them what are you doing in the Barents, please. Right now. Yeah, why not? Why not? Because this is the slide that I use to try to talk what they are doing, people to people, the Norwegian Barents. So the floor is yours, Margarete. Yeah?
Okay.
I think we skip my slides and give it to her.
Yep. Jeg kan jo bare putte den sånn. Okay, I'm so happy to have been invited to come and talk about all the exciting, practical things, cooperation that are going on in the Barents Cooperation. To you lovely people. I need a manuscript, I'm sorry. Yes, as Thomas said, I represent the Norwegian Barents Secretariat. It might be a bit confusing for you to hear about all these different institutions and so on, but we are the Norwegian Barents Secretariat, and we are also located in Kirkenes, in the same house as Thomas. The Norwegian Barents Secretariat facilitate cooperation between Norwegian and Russian partners within all kinds of areas. And we have some financing programs to help us in that work. I will first give you a short introduction to the financing program Barents Cult, because I want to focus now, of course, on what we do when it comes to culture and arts. So Barents Cult, the financing program, is a good starting point for that. And a short introduction, and then I'll show you some concrete project examples to give you an idea of what this is all about. So this is the wrong map. I should, yes, because, yeah, I'm sorry about this, because in this map, the newest member area in Finland is not included, but it is south of Kainuu in Finland, North Karelia, yeah. So, this is the official Barents Region. It has a rich cultural life and several creative and talented cultural workers and artists. And the cultural networks in this region are strong in competence and knowledge. At the same time, the Barents region and the cross-border cooperation that goes on here has to an increasing extent become an exciting destination for artists who belong to other parts of the world. So what we see is that the Barents region is more and more often used as an arena for development of new cross-border contemporary art and culture, often in an interaction between artists from the region itself and artists from outside, from other parts of the world. And as I said, to contribute to the realization of larger art and cultural projects with the focus on the High North a focus on the Barents region. The Norwegian Barents Secretariat teamed up with the two Norwegian ministries of culture and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the counties of Nordland, Troms and Finnmark, and created the financing program Barents Cult. The program was launched back in 2008, and so far 168 projects received support. The program supports projects which involve professional artists and cultural workers. And the main criteria is participation both from Norwegian and Russian side. We are very happy to support projects where there are also artists from other countries involved, but we can only cover the costs of the Norwegian and Russian participation. So through the Barents Cult program, we wish to stimulate a broader cooperation between Norwegian, Russian and other nations' artists. The focus of a project that receives support should always be the Barents region, and the activities must take place in the region itself, either on Russian or Norwegian side. And let me confuse you a little bit here, because I showed you the map of the official Barents region. In addition to the official Barents areas on Russian side, the Barents Cult program also includes Leningrad Oblast. So you can cooperate with partners in, for instance, in Petersburg. Okay, to continue. Barents Cult should contribute to making the Barents region more visible as a cultural region. It should create results that last after the projects have ended. The events and measures that are supported should be creative and cross-border in its nature. For instance, we aim at involving the indigenous peoples of the region in project cooperation. And as you know, the indigenous peoples' culture is in its nature cross-border. We are looking for projects that where artists preferably work together in a process with the aim to create something new artworks. The projects should hopefully contain or create something spectacular that contributes to put the Barents region on the map, so to say. We are very fond of projects that can be taken to or shown other places outside the region, other places in the world, after they have been first realized in the region itself. Let me move on to give you some concrete examples of some of the projects that have been supported. You heard about this project yesterday if you listened to the director of the Norwegian Arts Council. She also mentioned this dark ecology project. So this is an example of a project that has been given support from many financial sources, because it's a really exciting and good project. So Barents Cult also supported the dark ecology project. It was a 3-year art, research and commissioning project, and it was initiated by the Dutch organization Sonic Acts and the Kirkenes-based curator Hilde Meti. You can actually listen. Hilde is here today, and she will talk about the dark ecology project in the session about the EU and so on. I think it's the last session of the day. Sonic Acts and Hilde Meti, they collaborated with Norwegian, Russian and other European partners. The dark ecology project unfolded through research, the creation of new artworks and a public program that were presented in the zone on both sides of the Norwegian-Russian border. in 2014, 15 and 16. Artists, writers, curators, researchers, bureaucrats, architects and others were invited to take part in journeys with an extended art and theory program in the Norwegian-Russian border zone. 3 such journeys took place. The project was an international meeting place for new art. It stimulated collaboration between artists and cultural workers and developed critical knowledge and creative skills in the region and beyond. This picture shows one of the commissioned artworks in the project. The Swedish artist Cecilia Jonsson made this site-specific sculpture, which is set on a place called Prestefjellet. It is in Sør-Varanger municipality, quite near the town Kirkenes. And here a thick foundation of ancient basement rock is explored with the help of diamond core drills that can penetrate as deep as 150 meters into the ground. The sculpture consists of drilling samples, fragments from inside the ancient rocks, which are no longer commercially viable. Geologists say that the rock is 2,500 million years old, so this is really, really old rock. And it is truly a beautiful and very interesting piece of art, and it attracted quite a lot of attention. I wanted to show you one more picture from one of the happenings in the Dark Ecology project. You heard about this also yesterday. The Kola Superdeep borehole. It is the deepest man-made hole on Earth. It descends more than 12 kilometers down into the Earth. And this was a Soviet geological research project that began during the Cold War. In addition to gathering data about the geology of the Earth's crust, it formed part of Project Globus, a network of seismic listening station that was to function as an early warning system for natural disasters and for monitoring enemy nuclear tests. After the fall of the Soviet Union, the project was slowly closed down and the site was abandoned in 2008. Here, the British artist Justin Bennett has created a sound walk that locals from the nearby towns of Nikel and Zapolyarny were invited to experience one Saturday in June 2016. And this picture is from that Saturday. The sound walk goes as follows, or the story in the sound walk goes as follows. At the Kola Superdeep site, next to Wolf Lake, we meet Victor, a geologist who worked on the Kola Superdeep project until it was shut down. Ever since, Victor has stayed on site as much as possible, continuing the work started by Dr. Huberman, the founder of the project. He recounts the history of the Kola Superdeep, relating it to other Cold War science projects, discusses the geology and history of the area and of his experiences living there alone. He shows us around the ruined site, his living quarters, his small laboratory, and of course the borehole itself. He explains his work listening to vibrations deep within the earth, linking geology with Sami shamanism and divination. I participated in this event last year and walked around the area and listened to this sound walk and the story. And in fact, you can see me in the picture here. I'm here. And this is actually where the Kola Superdeep hole is. So you could put your ear down to the hole and almost hear the earth singing. It was very poetic and really, really fascinating experience. Amazing and touching. And I wish you could all have been there to experience this. Okay, this is another project. The event took place in 2015. A project was called Nothing Will Grow Together Because Nothing Belongs Together. And it was an exhibition and performance project organized by the young curatorial duo Kurant from Tromsø with Russian co-curators Yekaterina Golubina and Natalia Smolyanskaya. The project took place at Olavsvern Navy Base. It is a 25,000 square meter facility nearby Tromsø. And the project included, and the naval base is now closed down. And 14 Russian and Norway-based artists took place in the project during 2 weekends, when people were invited to come to the base and experience the site-specific art. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend this happening, but I heard it was amazing. And I read the following in a review. With Nothing Will Grow Together Because Nothing Belongs Together, Kurant blew new life into the naval base Olavsvern and sent the audience on an enchanting mood journey, evoking universal feelings. Both the Cold War and today's topical issues were portrayed. Poetic and adventurous, but not particularly nice. Sounds intriguing, don't you think? Okay, this is another project example. New music composed to films from the silent era is an integrated part of Tromsø International Film Festival. The festival invites specially selected professional musicians from the Barents Region to participate in a silent film workshop. The artists are given one task: to create completely new music to accompany the film together. They create the music together. After around 4 to 5 days of intense work, the result is given its world premiere of the work at TIFF. The film is screened and the newly composed music performed live by the artists, which are always from Norway and Russia and sometimes from other countries as well. The concerts are normally sold out and the audience receives the artists and their music very enthusiastically. This production is then sent on tour in northwest Russia, and some of the concerts have been shown outside the region. One of them was, for instance, shown in London, I know. And by bringing successful Barents art out to audiences elsewhere, for instance, to London, we show the rest of the world that really good quality art can be created through cross-border cooperation. And we give evidence to the fact that the region is inhabited by creative people and not only polar bears. Okay, this is the last project example I wanted to show you. It is a project which was given the name Nordic Number. And Nordic Number started in 2012 as the Riddu Festival, which you also heard about yesterday. It is an indigenous festival in the county of Troms. The Riddu Festival commissioned a piece by Ole Jørn Myklebust, an accomplished Norwegian jazz and world musician. The project received support from Barents Cult. Nordic Namgar is fronted by the two vocalists, Namgar Hlasaranova from Buryatia in Russia, it's north of Mongolia, and the Sami artist Nilas Holmberg. The constellation creates a meeting between two of the most unique indigenous voices in the world today. Both represent their culture, music, and tradition at a very high level. This is truly a remarkable collaboration between two voices that both contrast and complement each other. And since the first concert at Riddu Riddu in July 2012, this music project has performed at several festivals in Norway and also in Russia and Kazakhstan. And it's a very good example of a project that lives on after it was officially closed. And it shows people elsewhere what amazing stuff cross-border cooperation can create. And I wanted to end the presentation by showing you a small part of the Nordic Number project's live performance in Moscow. So I hope we can have some help with this. If we can open internet and then show this. Oh. I thought it would be nice to have some. I talked about the project examples, but it's nice to show you also what it's all about. Yeah. Okay, I think that's all we have time for. Thank you very much. So we wrap it up?
Yeah, I think maybe if there are some questions, I'm actually really willing to forward them to Helena. Are there any questions from the audience? Some comments, something? I have one question to you actually.
Yeah.
How much money?
Oh, yeah. In this Barents financing program, we have around 11 million Norwegian kroner annually. Yeah.
1 million euro, a little bit more.
Yeah.
Serious money.
Yeah.
Good for you. Okay. No question. Thank you very much for your attention.